is directly from some Welsh production companies who've actually had some unscripted hits recently, sort of following on from our previous conversation. So we're going to share the inside story of how their ideas made it from pitch to the screen, what made those ideas then resonate with commissioners and their audiences. That's going to be the focus of our next panel. So if you please welcome the chair for this session, Yvonne Alexander, Creative Director at Jet TV. Croeso, Yvonne. Diolch, Yvonne.
Hello, everybody. Bore da pawb. So as Stefan just said, this is about celebrating success stories from Indies and Wales. And after the panel this morning of how is TV broken, I hope that this panel will show how Wales is proving itself on the on network and on a global stage. And we've got programs in Welsh, in English, and one starring a bear. So which you would only get here, really. So would you like to come up, panel? Hello.
Hello.
This is the stage of success. Yes. So would you like to introduce yourselves, starting with you over there, Ben?
Me at the end here. So hi, I'm Ben Smith, Creative Director of Ddraig. Now, Ddraig is a newly established production company. We launched just after the last Screen Summit 2 years ago. Sadly, we weren't allowed to announce at the time, but yeah, we're based up in Wrexham, and we focus on factual formats, usually sort of like kind of high volume and formats that will work brilliantly for a Welsh and a British audience, but also that can travel very well, is the hope.
Katie?
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm head of production at Boom. We're one of Wales's largest production companies, and I look after the production management side of our slate, so everything from factual to entertainment to digital, kids and drama.
Hello, I'm Jo Pearce. I'm Creative Director of Bright Branch Media. Bright Branch, we set it up 6 years ago. There's two arms to the business. One is digital on big high-end shows. And the second, which is one of the success stories we're going to talk about today, is unscripted. So we've got a big unscripted TV team there.
So I think probably everybody in this room has fabulous ideas all the time. But then obviously the big challenge is getting it over the line, is getting that commissioner to agree that your idea is as brilliant as you think it is. So, Jo, I have to crack a joke here, but how did you make your programme such a roaring success?
That's good. That's good. Where do I go from there? So the project I'm talking about, or the series I'm going to talk about today, is a series called Inside Longleat, which basically does what it says on the tin. Shall I go into how we started?
Well, yeah, I think, if you just run us through how you came up with the idea.
Yeah, so Longleat, I don't know if everybody knows Longleat from Animal Park, hugely successful show on the BBC, brilliant. But it's also been a love of mine, Longleat. I've gone there since I was a little girl, from school trips all the way through to my family. And I've taken my 2 children there every year for Festival of Lights, which is this amazing lanterns celebration that they have from November through to the end of January. And about 3 years ago, I took the children, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Because when I say it is big, these lanterns are huge. They're the size of Big Ben. They're massive. And they fly over 50 Chinese artists every year for 4 months to make them. So I came back from there, and I came to it was in St David's, Channel 5. Lucy Willis was there talking about what Channel 5 was looking for. They wanted access shows, and they really wanted some kind of stellar, one-off Christmas dramas. So I was like, cha-ching. So Lucy, in my team, Lucy Wu, came back and was like, we could do that. And so we sat down, we did a 2-page deck on what Festival of Lights could be. We contacted Longleat, and they didn't normally give access apart from Animal Park, but they loved the fact that it was just about the lanterns. They said, okay, if you get any traction, go for it. I can't remember which specific dates, but it took 4 days. I sent the deck to Lucy Willis on the Monday. She came back, she'd spoken to Ben Frau. They thought, oh, that's a really nice idea, really unique. Have you got access? Yes, we have access. They'd commissioned it by the Thursday, which is, for everybody in this room, especially in times when it's been really tough, was a real tonic. So that's how it started.
And then you just tell us what the overnights were for that. It was so it was Longleat. What was the actual title of the program?
It was called Christmas at Longleat, and we literally gave everything to it, because what we saw when we were filming that is that there was an array of characters that are in Longleat, and we were like, maybe this could go somewhere more, not so much Christmas, but telling the story of people that work there. So it went out at Christmas, it got 1.2 million. Lucy phoned us the next morning and was like, look, have a think about, what a series may look like. I can't promise anything, but these are really good figures. And so that's when it went from there.
And that was in 2024?
That was 2023.
Because I know overnights aren't, we all think they're not important anymore, and, it's all about the streaming catch-up. But when you woke up that morning and Lucy was calling, I mean, that is a really good 1.2 million.
Yeah, but also we'd never worked with Channel 5 before either. And as we all know, it's really hard getting that kind of working relationship with the commissioners. I'd say probably what was successful for that and for the following 3 that we then went on to make was that we worked a lot with Lucy. I got so much information from Lucy and guidance on who their audience were, and that helped us pick the characters that we were going to feature in the 3.
Because just to say then, so you did the one-off, and then it was 3 that they asked for next.
So then Ben and Lucy commissioned another 3, and they went out in March this year, and they weren't far off those figures either. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And I think we have a clip of...
Yes, this would be great, because at the start of the clip, it shows Christmas, and then it goes into the other
Can we
3.
play the Longleat clip? Whoever's in charge of clips.
It's going to be a triumph, Daisy.
3, 2, 1.
Lights on. Christmas has officially started.
It was the first safari park in the world outside of Africa.
We are about to enter into a monkey drive-through. That was 2 macaque monkeys with a pair of boxer shorts on their heads.
Can you take away?
Absolutely.
It's amazing to see a Spitfire flying over Longleat.
Top speed in our display is 165 miles an hour for us. This is literally all you can ask for with a balloon event, which is good weather. And look at this.
So it's really exciting. We just had a radio call saying that they are at the top of the tree, which is amazing. I imagine the view is fantastic.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi, Emma.
Emma and Emma.
Emma and Emma. Oh, adorable.
And here we are again for the lowering and cleaning of the grand staircase chandelier.
Just no mention of any falls and horses, right?
Definitely not. When you look at the place and think about how long it's been here for, and think about how many people have been in these rooms and spaces, there are probably a few ghosts.
It makes me laugh because that's the housekeeping team who are also Ghostbusters in their spare time.
Oh, right. And who was it you doing the rocking chair? You're the one that set it up.
Yeah, probably.
I have to say, I think it's such a winning combination because you've got beautiful scenery, you've got really interesting people, you've got red pandas and animals, and just I have to say, beautifully shot. I mean, it just looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and at the heart of it is all about family, from Lord and Lady Bath, who you saw both in there, to all the workers on that estate. They are incredible, and a lot of them, generations have worked at Longleat. So there's a real sense of community and pride in everything they do. And I think the great thing about it is when the audience is watching it, they're watching themselves really in an amazing, unique environment, doing wonderful jobs that we'd all like to do.
And just before we move on, but what was it like being, you went there with your kids, being a visitor to being somebody that was filming the place for a programme?
Do you know, it brings absolute joy making that series because You know, we do a lot of studio shows, we do, you know, a lot of big shows, but very rarely are we out in the grounds or somewhere. You know, it's a 9,000-acre estate. It's much bigger than the safari. And so just being there and just telling the story and seeing, like we'll talk about some of the characters in a bit, and seeing how our programme has affected the workers there and how much people are now coming to see those people they've seen on our series. You know, it's really heartwarming. It's lovely.
Yeah, brilliant. And then a llais. So would you, and I'm a Welsh learner, so I think it was a fantastic moment for Ysbydwarec.
Yeah.
Llais. Anyway, so yes, tell us a bit about llais, how it came to Boom.
Yeah, so we're part of ITV Studios. So we were trusted with the voice baton back at the start of 2024. We were given the reins to get going on what was the 75th iteration of the global format. Which meaning we were the 75th territory to make the voice. So we got going in April 24. It spanned a 50-week production period, so it was a huge moment for Boom to take on a programme, a series of this size. So that series 1 then went to March 25. And to say... we were in the trenches through a lot of that. It was a lot of pressure to make something that had been made before. And now we off the success of Series 1, we're now in production on Series 2. So we film the blind auditions next month.
And how was it as something that everybody's seen on network? But you still, I suggest, had the same production values. It was still beautifully directed. The set looked amazing. We had better, you don't call them judges. What do you call them?
Coaches.
Coaches,
yeah.
sorry. Coaches than they do on network as well.
Thank you.
So how was it recreating that network production with the same values for Wales?
Yeah, I think it did come with a lot of pressure because naturally we wanted to be just as good as our neighbours in England and come up to that mark, both on screen. We wanted it to sound and look as beautiful and wanted the highest production value that we could give it. And I think we did that, but as I touched on before, it did come with its challenges. We had to be really realistic about that we didn't have the same size studio, we didn't have the same amount of resources, we didn't have the same budget. So we had to really look at, well, where do we want to spend our money and what will we focus on to make it the very best end product that we could. And I think on one of our darkest days, actually, we were looking at the credit roll for The Voice UK and their runner team was the same size as our whole production team. So, it puts it into perspective, doesn't it, that, we really were a lean team. And like the panel was saying before, we did have to multi-skill and sort of get stuck in and work together across maybe not what our traditional roles are and go from there. So yeah.
Did you get any feedback from The Voice UK to say, like, how did you manage to do that?
Yeah, we did, and we built a really nice relationship actually with Lifted Entertainment. They're also part of ITV, another label under ITV, and we were so grateful for their support. Often you're on your own in these things, aren't you? And it was heartwarming to sort of build that relationship and have that sharing of knowledge, and it really helped us sort of carve our identity within the Voice brand, and make it what we could.
Yeah, brilliant. And then Ben, finally, you managed to lure Bear Grylls. Well, he owns an island here, right? But you lured him to BBC Daytime. Tell us how that happened.
We got him into the bear trap. Wild Reckoning with Bear is a format which is all about trying to fix broken relationships. And I think that we got the show away. Obviously, it's not broadcast yet, but we got the show away and got Bear as part of it because of 3 key relationships really that we were working on. Our first series was that we delivered as a production company was Lost and Found in the Lakes for BBC Network Daytime, and that was a key relationship that we sort of like developed and launched with. It did brilliantly in terms of viewing figures, which was great to launch the series and us as a production company as well. So we had an existing good relationship there with Daytime and the team there. I think we had a feeling that Rob was probably keen to work with us again after Lost and Found. Then the second relationship was with BBC Wales, because Wild Reckoning is a co-commission, and I think that is really the only way that we've managed to get it away and to actually sort of like kind of get the funding needed to make an idea that's quite as ambitious as this is, and has got really big talent like Bear attached to it. So we'd been in and out ever since starting up Ddraig to meet with Nick and Julian and Sean, like kind of the commissioning team there. And I think it built up a good relationship there with them as well. So it's kind of just that prep work, waiting for the right idea. And then Bear, of course, is the other relationship. We're part of the Workerbee group, which is in turn part of Banner who just produced Celebrity Bear Hunt for Netflix. So there was the existing relationship there with Bear as talent, and we knew that he was super keen to come back to make a show for UK terrestrial TV for the BBC in particular, and he wanted it to take place from his home in North Wales, working with local producers and a local production company. So everything was starting to kind of align there, if you like. And I think we put all of those things together with a lot of sort of like kind of willingness there on all sides. And Wild Reckoning as a format was born.
You said in one of our research chats he wanted to make something his mother would watch. Is that right?
Exactly that, yeah. Like kind of he's made like kind of huge shows all across the world. Celebrity Bear Hunt being one kind of the last ones. But he just really wanted to make something that was, I think a couple of things. Yeah, something that his mum and that his family would watch and like kind of feel a real sense of pride and place about. And also it was, I think that kind of we see a sort of like a new side to him in this series, and I think like kind of it's a series which is loaded with really sort of like kind of good intentions and helpful takeout information for people watching it, and I think he's loved bringing that to the fore. Like kind of actually the kind of view there's a really soft, caring side to him which doesn't revolve around like kind of setting bear traps and like and surviving out in the wilderness. The
soft side of Bear Grylls. Because obviously the other mediation format we've seen is Jeremy Kyle, so obviously this is very different to that.
The way that we pitched this in the very first pitch meeting was that this is Judge Judy in the wilderness. And it's it does have some elements of that mediation that we are genuinely like kind of, I suppose. Where it's close to those sorts of shows is that we start with a conflict, we start with a disagreement, but where it's totally different to things like Kyle is that the whole narrative of each show is about trying to solve, trying to fix, trying to make a positive difference. And I think that was something that Bear really enjoyed, and what we really loved about it was that it was yes, it's a TV show, yes, it's entertaining, but we genuinely made a difference to, I think, each of the people who took part in that show and who came to us genuinely kind of looking for help. And I think all of them were changed and transformed in some way by the process.
That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, I've stayed with my husband because of Bear Grylls, or I'm speaking to my neighbour because of Bear Grylls, or it really is. If you're genuinely TV making change, TV as a force for good.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode that's gone through the edits, it was a brother and sister. It had a hugely complex, complicated past. Had become estranged, hadn't spoken for 6 years, and we brought them together kind of on this show. I'm not pretending that we fixed absolutely everything that was wrong about their relationship, but they are now seeing each other again. She went to his 50th birthday party just last week. So there's real identifiable change there that you can see, I think.
Yeah. Now, measuring success these days, comes in all sorts of different forms. And with a llais, certainly on digital, it's really resonated with the audience there. Can you just explain? You've got some extraordinary stats, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we look at success in many ways now, don't we? And back in the day, we used to be fixated by overnights and consolidated and obsessed with what they were going to be, and now there's that real shift in, how is it performing across the board? And I think as we're shifting into this more digital space, it's a great example with a llais of how well it's done online. We reached 4.7 million views across our social channels, and also, I think what's key for S4C is that it brought in a younger audience, and we saw 55% of our llais viewers who are under 45. So we're really proud of that, to have made that change and shift. And let's see what happens next.
Yeah, and have we got a clip? I think we're playing a clip of a llais now.
Heno, mae 4 ragdalentog yn gobeithio mai nhw bydd yn ennill teitl y llais 2025. Ond dim ond un enillydd fydd na, da ni'n barod amdani. Ymlaen i'r ffeinal.
Y ffilm fawr wedi cyrraedd.
Pearce.
All hwn newid popeth i fi. Mae Rose a fi yma i ennill.
Anna. Fi di herio Anna i wthio'r ffiniau yna.
Dwi eisiau rhoi 100%.
Gobeithio ni hyn dal i ffordd.
Liam. Mae Liam yn artist.
Mae rhaid i fi wneud mwyaf o'r cyfle yma.
Sara. Mae Sara o fewn trwch blewyn i wireddu breuddwyd.
Hwn ydy perfformiad mwyaf mywyd i.
Fantastic. It looks so amazing. It's like, for the budget, we'll talk about the challenges, but, for the budget and, it just looks brilliant, doesn't it?
You would never know.
Thank you. Yeah, don't tell them on their work thing. I'm a Welsh learner, so I just love to talk about what an impact it's made on the Welsh learning community, bringing them to S4C.
Yeah.
So can you just talk a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one in 4 of our contestants from Series 1 was a Welsh learner, and 1 in 3 viewers was non-Welsh speaking, which is amazing, really, to have sort of taken down that barrier with the traditional Welsh-speaking community. And I think it's really been encouraged by Alicia Scott, one of our coaches, having been a Cardiff-born woman herself, and have only taken up the language in the last 3 years and now almost fluent. You'll see with Series 2 now, she's come such a long way. And it's just a great news story, isn't it? It's such a great encouragement for all of us. Myself as well, Yvonne, a Cardiff-born woman, but a Welsh learner, and it just gives us that encouragement to try and I think to feel not judged for trying now, whereas maybe before llais people would not have the confidence to learn and to say that they were a Welsh learner. So,
it was fantastic to see ourselves reflected on screen, and for her not to be scared to break into it if it was too complicated. She'd just go into English, and you'd think, oh, great, that's how I feel sometimes.
Absolutely. It was really encouraging.
Fantastic. And then Ben, with World Reckoning, you sort of answered a lot of this, but what do you hope is going to resonate with the audience when it goes out?
I think that similarly to Lost and Found in the Lakes or other BBC series, I think what I'm hoping we'll see is that sort of the way that landscape interacts with format on this show as well. Like kind of the backdrop for this mediation format is the spectacular Welsh North Wales coast, and You know, the format sees it's 2 days that each of our contributors, our warring contributors, spend with us in the Welsh wilderness, and they have to camp out and take on a variety of team building tasks, which is sort of like bespoke and specially tooled to force them to work together and build a new understanding of each other. And I hope that I hope that the thing kind of that people can take from it is, the beauty of the landscape, but that really sort of like genuinely positive, feel-good change and resolution that 2-day counselling session kind of brings about with people. You know, and I've loved watching what's coming back, like I was saying before, just because of the genuine change that's brought about by Bear and the team of experts that we're working with.
Yeah, is Bear Dysgu Cymraeg? Is he learning? Is he
joining
the...
Sadly not.
And we've got an exclusive clip, have we? Of
I believe so. Yes, this is just
hot off the press, hot out the edit.
Hot off the press, yeah. Not fully graded, but yeah.
The North Wales coast. This is a place that I call home. It's rugged, wild, unforgiving at times. And out here, nature tends to strip things back to what really matters. This is a new challenge for me, unlike anything I've ever done before. Dealing with people's lives, their relationships, and their futures.
Is that supporting or is that degrading?
Sometimes I just felt you weren't always honest about wanting to be there.
There's no hiding.
I don't want to talk about it.
No distractions.
That's exhausting.
We're here to give people a chance to be healed.
I grieved her so much as a child.
To come back together.
I promise you, you're not going to fall. I'm going to die.
Stronger than ever before.
We're immensely proud of the person you are.
And to trust each other, and to listen to each other, and to respect each other.
Got it. Oh my God, we're all in. I'm not sure that's the terminology.
On this adventure, there are no guarantees.
Go, jump! Did you get it?
Oh my gosh, okay.
But if they give their all...
Oh, I got it, I got you.
They have a fighting chance of finding resolution.
You're getting me over my fear.
Trust me. I do trust you. Incredible.
I'm Bear Grylls. Welcome to Wild Reckoning.
I feel like I want to clap.
Yeah, should we clap? Clap for all the clips. It's a step on from getting together and having a cup of tea to try and make up, isn't it?
Definitely takes out of the counselling room. Yeah.
So let's just talk about challenges, because although you've all the programs are success stories, or yours is going to be a huge hit, Ben, and the others are already. So challenges in production. Would you, Katie? Money, I've got written down here.
Yeah, I think, it's safe to say that our budget, although, well, I was going to say large for Boom, but in the entertainment space, it was small. And so, as I said before, we had to be realistic about, where we spent our money and it came with challenges. We had, like I said, a leaner team, and we couldn't have all of the lights we wanted. We couldn't have, the way we handled our audience coming in, all those sorts of behind-the-scenes things that, you want to pour your money into to make it as smooth as possible. It was difficult. Being a first series, it naturally comes with challenges. Across the board, but I think we handled them and we got through them, and lots of learnings now coming into series 2.
Are there any learnings you'd like to share with the group?
Oh, you've put me on the spot.
Sorry.
No, not at all. Learnings for series 2. I think be sort of confident that we know what we're doing, and streamline the schedules, and work on communication within the team, and make it a really positive experience from start to finish, and know that we're all in it together, and that we made a brilliant end product last time, and we will again.
Brilliant. And Joe, what about your challenges on Longleat?
I guess our challenges are also a privilege in that we're following the lives of people working there. And so we follow their story, really, as well. So when you watch the three-parter, you'll see the bus driver there, Dave, who people love, and he's entertainment. He's the guy who was talking about the monkeys. Halfway through the series, he had a cancer diagnosis. And so we had to be really mindful about how we manage that story, but also make sure that we, had coverage in case we didn't go back to that story. Likewise, you're following people, whether they're keepers or they're housekeepers or they're maintenance staff doing day jobs with children, animals, and members of the public. So you're constantly having to have a plan B, C, D, E, because no day goes the same. But what we are finding is building that trust that we've had to do, and has been invaluable to us with all those people that work there, and Lord and Lady Bath. Any problems that occur, we can easily pivot and change. I guess from our point of view, and from the park's point of view, when we put out Christmas at Longleat, that night their website fell over because people were trying to get tickets there. And then when we told Dave's story, thankfully he's in remission and he'll be back, because we've just been told that we've got an 8-part series to follow the 3-part series, which is brilliant, and he'll be back in that 8-part series. But, we have to be mindful of that. And every time now people are going to the park, his safari bus is always late because the line is always asking about his health. But, when you think about what that's done for prostate cancer and, so on. So, yeah, it's about being nimble, isn't it? It's about having plan.
So just running through the timeline of your series. So it was 1-part Christmas special.
Yeah, the following year, 3-part. And so the 3-part went out in March, and now we started production on an 8-part series.
And just describe how, because didn't you go to Ben and Lucy?
It was brilliant, actually. And I have to say, Channel 5 is so dynamic. We really enjoy working with them. So I went back to Lucy after the 3-parter. It did really well. And I was like, right, I think we could get another 3 to 5. And she was, okay, leave it with me. I'll have a chat to Ben. And Ben is full of energy, isn't he? And Ben came back and said, I'll have 8. And I took a big gulp and was like, great! Because, it's a difficult time. So for us, as a small indie, a small Welsh working class indie, that's a big thing. And so, yeah, it's really helped us this year.
Well done. Should we have a clap for that?
No, it's right.
8-part series. And Ben, challenges for you?
Yeah,
I mean, hasn't got out yet, but...
Yeah, I think it's back to money again, kind of as always. I think to get this series made, kind of it's pretty ambitious in terms of the idea and the talent. We had to approach it from the very beginning as being clever with how we put together the funding package. So it's as I said before, it's a co-commission between BBC Wales and BBC One Daytime. We also brought to the table quite a lot of distribution money from Banner Rights as well, and then we're really fortunate that we're a Creative Wales supported production as well, which was absolutely sort of kind of critical to actually getting the show and getting the series made. So I think, yeah, but even then, with all of those sort of funding partners, it was still kind of a real stretch to make this as a show. If you compare Celebrity Bear Hunts for Netflix, I think the team on that was around, and it's not, yes, there's there's celebrities in it, but it's not a wildly different sort of format or show. Then the team on that was about 300, whereas our biggest, we were probably 25 to 30 people. So then the challenge becomes getting the right 25 to 30 people who were based in the kind of the creative community in North Wales. And I thought the team were just amazing on it and like kind of totally nailed it. But yeah, finding that kind of the right producers from largely North Wales, like kind of some people drawn from South Wales, including our amazing showrunner Jenny David, who did a cracking job on this. Yeah, I think that sort of like talent spotting and talent growing as well has been a challenge for us.
I think that's, so Wales does, we punch above our size in terms of making TV, and across all genres. But how do you think it benefits Wales coming back? In terms of, because it's a whole ecosystem, isn't it? You haven't just got your crew on the shoot. You've also got all of the other facilities that you're using. Katie, you were talking about the studio facilities and everything.
Yeah, I think naturally, you think for a shiny floor show that you go to Dock 10 in Media City or Pinewood as it was, and it was a challenge to sort of find that studio space in South Wales that were willing to have us for that short period of time. We film our blind auditions in studio, and then we go to another location for callbacks, and then back to a studio base for our finals. And when studios are having offers from dramas that want to be there for 4 to 6 months, you don't stand a chance. So we were there for 3 weeks and for block 1, and then 2 weeks for block 3. So competing with that is very difficult. But we got there, and we went to Dragon Studios for series 1, and we'll be back there again for series 2. And it's great to sort of have Welsh spend and put that money back into the economy here, and also use local suppliers and where possible, keep our spend in Wales.
And Joe, you were talking about talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that we're really starting to see things pick up again, I think. But one thing I think we need to work out a strategy around is it's great that there's quite a few programs, apprenticeships now available for people entering the industry. But where we're seeing a slight disconnect is there's not enough seniors in the industry that can work on network. And so everybody wants the same people. The industry's picking up, no one's available. So, what I'd love to see is some kind of strategy or process of being able to give brilliant Welsh PDs an opportunity to work on network stuff. Because if we don't give that opportunity, there's no point getting everybody into the industry and then them hitting a ceiling. So I think that's the thing that we really need to do as indies as well. We really need to support that episode with all the channels, I think.
But do you think that's about network as well, saying I am going to try, having the balls just to say I am going to try this person, they might not have done anything on network before, because otherwise people are never going to break in.
Yeah, or maybe it's, and I get it, because money is tight at the moment, whether you're network or whether you're a nation. But is there some kind of, scheme where if you're doing a series, one of those episodes could be made by, a new Welsh PD or new Welsh editor, or just so we can start to get people recognised by different channels. And I think it's the same across all the channels, really.
Yeah, which is it's only going to help them in the long run, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know there's a willing to do it, but unless there's some kind of structure put in place, it's going to be difficult.
Okay, hopefully that will happen now after this. Ben, you're setting up the Tŷ'r Academy, is that right? Or
yeah, so I think that's really interesting what you said about developing talent. Like I think both the sort of like the senior end and the more junior end as well. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, we move into new production facilities in our home in Wrexham next week, and a big part of that is sort of kind of with post-production facilities there as well as production. We're looking to do a bit of an accelerator academy program where I had to move away from North Wales to make a career in telly, and my hope is that not everyone has to do that. Particularly up north as well. So we want to be sort of a launch pad for developing new talent at that sort of junior end, and then we really want to work with the other end of the scale with the senior talent on shows that are for, you know, for network or potentially an international audience, like Wild Reckoning at the more senior end, like I'm saying, like everyone's based in North or South Wales for that show.
We should pair up.
100%.
Yeah. And then just finally, some advice for all of us, how we can all have our own success stories like you. Jo, would you like to go?
Well, I knew you were going to come to me first then. I think it's about, isn't it, like I've just used the Channel 5 example, but the same when we've done our BBC series. You've got to treat those episodes like your children. You've got to nurture them, you've got to put them out in the world, and you've got to know that they can stand on their feet. Because ultimately, in a time where the industry is tough, and it is, you know, you are literally only as good as your last project. So I think it's about really thinking, even if you're doing a one-off documentary, what can this bring? Is it going to, you know, you may not take it into a series, but you might meet contributors or talent within that can help spin into a show. So I think it's about being more strategic now, whereas before, you know, I think we would all go out and try and, you know, as soon as one-off commissions were coming through, you would go for them, and we still need to do that. But it's also thinking about how are we more strategic, how are we finding the right talent, the right contributors, how are we really working strategically with the channels, but also one of the things that we know that we've needed to do for Longley and for our other shows is have a really good relationship with a distributor, because you can't make shows just with the channels anymore. You do need the extra funding. So Creative Wales, again, have been brilliant to us and really been, not just financially, but really supportive and helped us and guided us. And likewise with the distributor that we work with on Longleat, you know, we work with them and to give us intel of what can work globally. So when we're thinking about development, we're thinking about, you know, first and foremost, do we love that idea for the UK, but also with ourselves.
Okay, and then Katie.
Yeah, I think what Jo was saying, I think we need to think outside the box and be proactive in finding what funding model works for each project, and really, you know, going after that and giving it our all. And I say to my teams, you know, give it your all, be the very best you can be every day, and you know, because we need to stand out more than ever. And it's really simple advice, but it really does show if you do that every day. And I think it's just a really important thing to remember.
Brilliant. And Ben, finally?
I guess now I've had a chance to think about it, just a couple of simple ones. I guess when pitching something, it's just, what is it about this idea that makes it absolutely unturndownable by the commissioner? What is it that is must-have about it? I think with ours, it was being able to bring Bear to the table on, you know, on a nice format. But I think from what kind of the panels from earlier on today were saying about, you know, you can see that for the commissioning teams, that drives sort of like kind of people to iPlayer, just having him attached there kind of in a way that, you know, you wouldn't if it was just the format itself that had to do the talkings. Yeah, I think like kind of what is there about your idea that you're proud of and that makes it just like kind of, yeah, a must-have for a commissioner. And then I think the other thing is kind of just working on those relationships, like kind of, you know, whether it's with the broadcasters, whether it's for co-commission or co-production arrangements. That's the really big thing. You know, kind of, you know, we're in development deals with like kind of other production companies and producers based particularly in North Wales. And I think like kind of, you know, I think it was Ed Sayer earlier on saying about how like kind of those sorts of collaborations, you know, I think are just going to be more and more important as we move forward.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. That's it. Thank you to the panel.